Justin wasn't interested in the movie. His expression grew dark when he saw what Nora had done. Instead of feeding her own daughter, she was feeding his son. She had denied she was trying to get close to Justin through his son over and over, yet he kept catching her in these little acts of kindness. He didn't even know how else to interpret her actions. It looked too much like a scheme. Nora could sense someone staring at her. She slowly opened her eyes and looked over. Her gaze was met with Justin's deep and dark eyes. She was surprised at his sharp expression. She thought, "Am I dreaming?" She couldn't believe she was seeing Justin in the movie theater. Her sleepiness disappeared instantly. She wondered, is this a coincidence, or is Justin here because he's trying to find out if I'm Athena? This situation was becoming more and more troublesome. She wanted to pretend that she hadn't seen him, but she could still feel him staring at her. It was impossible to miss the hostile look in his eyes. Nora turned to acknowledge him and said, "What a coincidence, Mr. Hunt." A coincidence? Justin thought furiously. His expression was grim. A coincidence, of course. We just happened to be watching the same movie in the same movie theater, and we just happened to have seats next to each other. Nora was puzzled by why he sounded so sarcastic. She frowned. "What do you mean by that, Mr. Hunt?" He replied coldly, "I told you, I hate it when people try to use my son to get close to me. Did you forget what I said, Miss Smith?" Nora was astonished. He kept misunderstanding her over and over again. She slowly turned her gaze away. She said, "You are an attractive man, Mr. Hunt, but you are also very arrogant. I'm not trying to get close to you. You aren't my type." He sneered. "You're so obvious, Miss Smith. Don't play innocent with me. Let me make myself clear. I am not interested in you. If you have the time to follow me around, why don't you spend it with your aunt instead?" His words angered Nora. The situation with her aunt was none of his business. She said coldly, "Don't worry. You don't need to bother yourself with my aunt." Justin became even angrier when he heard the way she glossed over the topic. But before he could respond, another moviegoer seated in the row in front of them turned around and snapped, "Hey, we're in the middle of a movie here. Can you two take your domestic issues outside?" Justin didn't know why, but he wasn't upset that he and Nora had been mistaken for a married couple. He wasn't sure how he really felt about it. There was too much happening. The guy from the row in front continued lecturing them. "For God's sake, don't act like that in front of your kids. You're scaring them." Nora looked at where he was pointing and saw the child sitting next to Justin, though of course she didn't recognize Cherry through her disguise. The mask hid every part of her entire face except her eyes, making her look just like Pete. Justin bent over and picked Cherry up. He said angrily, "This is the last time I'm warning you, Miss Smith. If you come near my son again, there will be consequences." And with that, he strode away. Nora was bewildered. She glanced to her other side. As far as she could tell, Cherry was still sitting next to her. She felt for a moment as if Cherry had been sitting on her other side. But that was where Mr. Hunt's son had been sitting, so that couldn't be right. After watching her try to puzzle out what had happened for a few moments, Pete, still disguised as Cherry, took her hand and said, "Let's go too, Mummy." It was obvious to him that the first date had been a complete disaster. When they got back to the hotel, it was already 4 in the afternoon. Nora went to sleep again. The next day's operation would last 7 or 8 hours. If she didn't get enough sleep, she wouldn't have enough strength and energy to see it through. Pete, who sat next to her, anxiously sent a text message to Cherry. "How's it going over there, Cherry?" Meanwhile, Cherry was facing off with Justin in the Hunt suite. Justin announced, "You're forbidden from making contact with that woman in the future." Cherry's large eyes went wide with alarm as she asked, "Why?" Justin didn't answer right away. He didn't want to set a bad example by speaking rudely about other people in front of his son. However, Lawrence, who was next to him, answered, "She's not a good person, Pete. She's just sitting on the sidelines and watching her aunt suffer. She's not even trying to help. She's going out and watching movies. She's cold." Panicking, Cherry cried angrily, "Mummy isn't cold. Mummy works hard to take care of people. She'll definitely save my great-auntie. Justin's expression darkened. He had been disturbed to hear Nora encouraging his son to call her Mummy. Had she been talking to him about her other family members too? Cherry had tears in her eyes. You're a bad daddy. You can't say that about her. I'm ignoring you. She ran straight into the bedroom. Justin clenched his fists angrily. He had been getting along well with his son earlier today, and now he had made him cry. But it wasn't his fault. It was all because of that woman. Suddenly, Lawrence jumped up and said, Mr. Hunt, great news. Athena is coming to the hospital in town for an operation. Observers are allowed to come in during the procedure. I've asked for a spot, and I can send someone there to stand guard. We'll get her this time for sure. Justin, lost in thought, stared at the bedroom where his son had disappeared. At last, he said, I'll go in person. I'll catch her myself. When she arrived at the hospital the next day, Nora didn't go straight to the operating room. Instead, she went to the ward to visit her aunt first, intending to comfort her. As soon as she entered, Lisa came over to her looking worried. Nora, I got your message. Is it true? Mum will have her surgery today. Nora nodded. Yeah. Next to them, Angela sneered. You're such an idiot, Nora. Aunt Irene's tumour is in a very tricky area. It's impossible for any ordinary surgeon to operate on her. Nora looked at her. I know that. Then why are you pushing for this surgery to go ahead? You're not taking this seriously. Angela looked at Will and Lisa and said, I showed Dr. Larson Aunt Irene's CT scan a long time ago, and even he didn't want to try it. Do you really think she's found someone better than Dr. Larson? When Will heard this, he hesitated. He said, Nora, be honest. What is the success rate for this procedure? Before Nora could reply, Angela scoffed and said, I told you it's nearly impossible. There are only 2 doctors in the States that even have half a chance of doing this right. Irene can still live for another 2 months without the operation, but if you go through with it, there's a 90% chance that she won't make it. Her words made Lisa go pale from fright. Isn't there a better doctor? Oh, there is, Angela said. There's Dr. Athena, the top surgeon in the world. There's no surgery she can't do. But she's too far away and she's picky. Even rich, powerful people have a hard time tracking her down. She won't bother with ordinary people like you. The ward was dead silent as Will and Lisa realized how unlikely it was that the procedure would go well. Angela radiated smugness, while Will and Lisa were utterly deflated. But then all 3 heard Nora's low voice as she said, Angela, don't be ridiculous. Who do you think I got to do Aunt Irene's operation? Angela said, Didn't you hear me? Unless it's Dr. Athena, it doesn't matter what surgeon you found. No one else is skilled enough. Nora was furious. She had come to see Aunt Irene before her operation so she could comfort her. Angela, of all people, should know that scaring a patient before surgery was completely unhelpful. Lisa and Will both looked pale and frightened. Nora was just about to reassure them that she had, in fact, secured Athena for the operation, but before she could say anything, Irene spoke up. I trust you, Nora. Let's get ready for the operation. Nora paused. Angela said sharply, Don't be ridiculous. Lisa became even more nervous. Mum? Irene gave her a wry smile and said, How many doctors have you and your father asked to try this operation? No one has agreed. They don't want to be held responsible. It's a tough operation no matter who does it, so does it really matter who the surgeon is? Irene was a woman of faith. She would take the risks and let God decide whether or not to make the operation successful. If her life ended today, it was meant to be. She looked at her family and said, Remember this, Will, Lisa. No matter whether the operation succeeds or not, this is what I've chosen. It has nothing to do with Nora. Nora lowered her gaze, touched that her aunt was trying to protect her. The door to the ward opened and a nurse came in. Mrs. Black, we'll be transferring you to the operating room now. Once Irene had been moved to the operating room, Nora headed off to do her pre-op preparations. But the moment she turned, she heard Angela's voice. Where are you going, Nora? Are you too afraid to face what's going to happen? You must feel guilty. You can't just leave. You have to stay here and take responsibility for Aunt Irene's life." Nora paused before saying carefully, "I have something to do." Angela scoffed and said, "What do you have to do that's more important than Aunt Irene? You're so heartless." Will clenched his fists as he listened to the conversation between his nieces. His eyes were filled with fierce disappointment. He had no intention of blaming Nora if the operation went badly, but she was his wife's most beloved niece. He didn't understand why she wouldn't stay to see how the surgery went. At that moment, a nurse came up and said, "Can I get Mrs. Black's family members to sign the medical liability waiver form, please?" She was holding out both the surgical consent and the liability waiver forms. Will trembled at the sight. Lisa's eyes were already red from crying. Her voice shook as she asked, "What does this mean?" Angela stepped forward, her face relaxing into a happy smile. She wasn't concerned at all about Aunt Irene. She said, "It means the doctor won't have to take any responsibility even if he causes the death of the patient during the surgery. Aunt Irene's surgery is such a difficult one. The doctors aren't stupid. Of course they want the liability waiver form signed first." Lisa's face turned even paler with fright. Angela remained unconcerned. She grabbed the consent form from the nurse. She looked for the name of the surgeon as she said, "So who is this mystery doctor who's brave enough to take on this operation?" Angela was confident that the operation would fail, but whoever the surgeon was, they had ruined her scheme to get the company from Nora. She wanted to know who had messed up her plans. There was a sinister look in Angela's eyes, but she froze at the sight of the name of the surgeon on the page. "Are you kidding me?" she thought. "How did Nora do this?" Lisa leaned in to read the form over her shoulder. She exclaimed, "It's Athena. That's the best surgeon in the world that you guys were just talking about, right?" "What?" Will cried. "Let me take a look." As the two of them stared at the surgeons' names, their eyes started to light up again. Will looked at Nora in surprise and asked, "Nora, how did you manage to get Dr. Athena to help us?" Nora had to think fast. She said, "Athena likes challenging operations, so I tried emailing them Aunt Irene's CT scans. I didn't expect them to agree." Will's eyes turned red. "Oh, Nora, I've completely misjudged you." "It's okay, really," Nora said calmly as she turned to leave. "But I really do have to go now." Angela was still frozen in place. She watched Lisa and Will sign the forms. Will was crying with joy and relief. Angela felt sick with disappointment and embarrassment. A call rang out through the hallway. "Calling all relevant personnel to the operating theatre. Dr. Athena has arrived." Several of the hospital's doctors strode into the operating room. They were representatives that the hospital's management had selected to observe Athena's operation. This was a rare opportunity for them. Dr. Larson, the head of the Department of Neurology at the hospital and Angela's professor at her college, was amongst them. As he went to enter the operating room, he suddenly caught a glimpse of Angela and stopped to call out, "Angela, is that you?" Angela came back to her senses and greeted him brightly. "Dr. Larson." He asked, "Why are you here?" She quickly replied, "My aunt's the patient." Dr. Larson's eyes lit up and he beckoned to her. The two stepped to the side, away from the rest of the group, and he said, "I have to ask, what's your family's relationship with Athena?" A scheming look filled Angela's eyes. Thinking quickly, she replied, "My aunt is in serious condition, and the operation's a challenging one. Practically none of the doctors in the States are capable of pulling it off, so I tried emailing Athena. I didn't think she'd say yes, but she agreed to it. Can you bring me in to observe surgery too?" Nora may have sent the email, Angela thought, but how will Athena know who the sender really was anyway? This was an amazing opportunity to observe Athena in surgery, and Angela wasn't going to miss it. Excited, Dr. Larson said, "So, you're the one that got Athena to come to us. This is a big day for the hospital, and it's all thanks to you. Of course I can bring you in." Angela hurried after Dr. Larson. Most of the observers were well-known specialists in the hospital. There were only a few promising doctoral students included in the group. She was the only undergraduate there. She was certain that, if she became a well-known and respected doctor, Anthony wouldn't look down on her anymore. Nora slipped into the operating room through the side door. As soon as she entered, she spotted Lily, her surgical assistant. She had flown into the States overnight to help out today. In order to keep their identities secret, the two of them had arranged to change into their surgical gear privately. Lily was already ready to help her put on the surgical gown. After completing the disinfection procedures, they entered a room in the second hallway. There, they ran into the doctors who had gathered to observe the operation. The group had prepped relatively quickly and were currently crowding around Angela to congratulate her. "I can't believe you actually managed to get Athena to come here, Angela. I heard from Dr. Larson just now that he's going to get you onto an accelerated study track. Wow, that's so awesome. You'll have a great boost getting your career started. You're really lucky to get to observe Athena so early on." Listening to them all shower her with praise, Angela felt as if she were on cloud 9. When she spotted Athena, she rushed up to her and said, "Hello, Dr. Athena. I'm the one that contacted you. Thank you for operating on my aunt. I really look up to you. I would love to become one of your postgraduate students. Will you consider me?" Nora was bewildered.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.